All right, Luca Nation, we are back. Cage rocking the fresh cut.
Not really.
The PWCC weekly auction preview with the two best. We got the Prop King back tomorrow and whatnot. So be sure to join 11 a.m. But today, all about PWCC. Some cool cards available for auction. Cage, I got to give you
good,
props.
Man. That was good. You said
I got to give you props.
You're going to kick us off?
Whatever you're doing on IG, whatever you're doing on IG, man. Usually they say people your age don't understand social media. Man, you're making social media your bitch. And I love what you're doing.
I'm just having fun. I mean, today's topics, I went out there and kind of went after the ultra modern folks in the first couple of weeks of the football season, mostly because we kind of warned against it. It's risk management, right? And now you have, Trey Lance done. You have Mac Jones injured. You have, Zach Wilson injured, although he's coming back this week. We'll see what happens there. You have Justin Fields, basically a running back. And a lot of people put a lot of money into a lot of these cards, and we've called it out. We've said it's a big risk, but Tom Brady, a lot of cards, a lot of stuff people trying to sell. His team hasn't looked fantastic. Andrew is calling for divorce. He has inside information somehow in the Tom and Giselle kind of romance. I mean, I don't know what he's doing in the background there, but Tom's attention seems elsewhere, and so do Tom's collectors. It's pretty crazy to think about that. You figure his legacy would be pretty established, but if I'm going to call out and point out the pricing coming down on ultra modern stuff, it's only fair. And one of the things that I saw yesterday, was one of the Tom Brady, the championship tickets, the autograph out of 100, his top card, the exact same one, number 95 out of 100, I think it was, sold last night Heritage for about $855,000. The same card, same exact one, same grade, same serial number, you name it, sold for almost double that in April of last year in Golden, like 1.68, I think it was, 1.7.
Let's talk about that. So.
Shoot.
That's actually the question I posed for the crossover guy. It's one, have you seen so many of the same card be re-auctioned time and time again? And like nice cards. I'll actually give you an example. On the PWCC auctions, there's a Kobe refractor with the Mike Baker gold stamp on it. That's an insane card. That's a PSA 10. That's a $2,000 card. Like, you would think that's a collector's card. Curious what you guys think. It's been auctioned off 3 times in 3 months, Cage.
Wow.
3 times in 3 months.
I mean, when you keep seeing the same stuff, I mean, one of the parts of my video was it showed all of the sales between the April one and now. Some of them as high as $2 million and change for the same card. But it's a lot of sales in basically what's amount to about a year and a half, less than a year and a half. It makes a rare card not appear as rare because, if you see it that often, that's what happens. I mean,
how I interpret that?
Sure.
People bought in for speculative reasons. I don't know if those are right or wrong, but they bought in for speculative reasons. And when they realized kind of the writings on the wall, they're selling. And that card eventually is going to find its hands most likely in a collector's hand, right? And that will be the floor. That's where collectors are kind of willing to come in and say, that's a card I want, right?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, listen, what winds up happening is, I like to believe the people who are selling it are ones who are in the cards cheap enough that they're still cashing out with a profit. But the video that I showed is, if it's the same exact card, that's an interesting thing, so that's not what it is. So the point was just, it's not just ultra modern, it's kind of everything. And it's not just cards, it's kind of everything, we got a lot of good comments about it too. The macroeconomic picture, the world, interest rates, people needing money for other things, superstorms and all kinds of, stuff. A lot of good feedback on that. I also posted a fun one. I had to. And breakers out there, if you see my video, don't get so mad at me. I'm not attacking breakers. Some of the comments are like, hey, like we do a lot of good stuff for the hobby too. That's fine. I mean, I'm glad you do. And that's the right way to do it. One comment that I think it was Hobby House, Florida, maybe, they put a little comment in there basically saying, spewing negativity, I think was the word being used there about how I'm going to chase people away from the hobby, and I'm not going to hide from that. I think I will. But the people I chase away from the hobby with a post like that about these prices being so high, the people I'm going to chase away from the hobby, there's probably a few of them. And what I've avoided are those people coming in, spending their money, spending way too much money, losing 90% of their money, and then walking away anyway. So yeah, I lost that person in the hobby, those few people in the hobby who you could have made a little bit of money on, but after they lost their money, they go back and they're watching football this weekend with their cousins, their friends, their neighbors, and they say, "Hey, stay away from the hobby. Stay away from the hobby because look what happened. I put my $1,000 in on this box, which by the way is not cheap, and I got $100 worth of cards back on this break, and now I'm done with the hobby, and you should stay away from it too. Instead, if it's priced reasonably and there's giveaways and we're doing it the right way, which ostensibly we know a lot of breakers who do it the right way. We know a lot of people who do giveaways. We know a lot of people who really put time and thought into it. If you're doing it the right way, great. And what I compare it to is I have no problem with breaking. I consider breaking entertainment. I don't live too far from Broadway. People pay money for a Broadway show. They spend a couple $100 on a ticket. They leave. And if they leave feeling entertained, they leave feeling like they got value for what they spent, that's fine. But you know what I don't see on television? I don't see, carnival barkers, selling tickets to Wicked. They know what they have. They know what they're selling. They know what the value is. And they don't have to say, oh, my God, the prices are... it's practically insane. So take it from where it's coming from. I'm not spewing negativity. I think I'm trying to open eyeballs because I've been doing this hobby in one form or another in 5 different decades. So, just having some fun.
Damn. That was fire. I didn't even know best, I'm going on mute button. I didn't. You're like, Andrew, I'm putting you on mute.
I'm sorry. But I mean, I wanted to get my point out there. I mean, I can understand breakers thinking I'm going after him. I'm not. I mean, we love. I even put a little comment at their backyard. Mac, love the guy. People we have friends who break, and I think breaking is a cool thing. But
Backyard Mac actually told me once when he was breaking, and there's a few times people are kind of losing their shirt time and time again. You got to know as an experienced breaker what the actual price point of your box is, where they're at with their cards. Do that math. And make sure that you bridge that gap with giveaways and stuff you have, because if they lose their shirt, they're never coming back to any breaker.
Right. I mean, even when the casino takes my money, I get breakfast out of it. You know what I mean? And a free drink.
And we lose often. Like
up until recently, a place I could go smoke a cigar, although I'm getting thrown out. You can't smoke there.
Why do you think we as humans see things in black and white, negative, positive, versus like
it's easy.
The nuance of like, don't overcharge, have a margin, but don't overcharge, and don't sell junk and call it gold?
Well, I mean, because we are humans, right? I mean, this is a situation now where the gold rush only lasts for so long in the eyes of folks, right? And, there are people who are looking at the overall economics, and there are people who are looking at what's going on in the world and think, wow, I got to squeeze as much profit out as I can now because who knows how much longer the gravy train is going to run. And that's usually not a good thing. So I think that's probably what it is. Also, I mean, look, it's easy to be black or white, right? It's easy to be, it's either optimistic or pessimistic. It's easy to be, you're either anti or pro. I think in reality, there's a lot of gray area there. And, look, these bigger accounts, people see this stuff. The algorithm pushes this stuff out there, right? And what we put out there is, that's the advertisement for our little hobby here that everybody's looking to grow. So,
a concept I've been thinking about, and I'll run some data to you guys in a second, and I'll hear some cards, Cage, you have on your mind. I'm really excited for this week's auction. Long-term greed versus short-term greed. So I think we all have incredibly selfish interests. I think everybody does. There's even that funny Friends episode where it's like, are there any selfless good deeds? But I think when you have long-term greed, you behave in a different manner than when you have short-term greed.
I kind of like it. I'm thinking of Wall Street, I think is what it was. What it was, Gordon Gekko. Greed is good. Greed works. Greed clarifies. Greed cuts through, right? I mean, he did this whole speech about it. And I like it, and it makes sense. But I think you're right. There's a big difference between being greedy now and being greedy over a long-term perspective, right? Because I think you leave less less demolition in your wake if you're looking at stuff with a long-term view.
And here's, like, in really simplistic terms, I think you play win-lose games versus win-win games.
Yep.
And I think win-win is only a long-term thing. So fun stuff. Some numbers. I ran some numbers for you guys. All items versus flash. So Judge, 37 cards, 12 of them have been flashed in. Mookie Betts, incredible talent. Dodgers, going to make a run. He's actually going to contribute to the Dodgers.
Mookie!
Only 8 cards available in this week's.
I wish I had some Mookies left. I gave them all away at the National 2 years ago.
There you go. The draft picks. That is basically a T-bill. That's a U.S. T-bill. That is recession-proof Mookie Betts draft picks base. $1 cards that you can grade. Ohtani, 37 cards, 8 of them flashed. Pujols, 17 cards, 8 flashed. And the big man, Mr. Trout, 47 cards, 7 flashed. Here's an interesting one. Acuna, 36 cards, 2 of them flashed. So let's get into some specifics, Cage. Anything stick out to you?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you got a bunch of people, the baseball stuff that's getting flashed in, the baseball stuff that's there. Baseball season's ending. I think Wednesday is the last day for regular season. So you got guys who are not making the playoffs, and folks are putting them out there because you're not going to see them until the spring. You guys who are making the playoffs, and people are hoping to capitalize on either a playoff run or somebody who's out there looking to add someone for the playoffs, sort of like your Mookie Betts play. The Dodgers
team sleeping on the Mets. I think we're grossly sleeping on the Mets. You've always taught me pitching wins in the postseason. Pitching is October.
If they have Scherzer and DeGrom healthy to go 1-2, and they actually pitch the way they can pitch, no one can beat them.
And they pitch, so like you go Scherzer, DeGrom, one other guy, and then back to Scherzer?
You find a way in a 7-game series to go 1-4-7 if you need to, right? But
1-4-7?
1-4-7 if you have to.
So one guy pitches 3 times, another guy pitches twice.
No. I mean, I would find a way. Yeah, I would find a way if you had to. Scherzer comes back on short rest in Game 7. Yeah, that's what I. So
Scherzer could pitch 3 times, and DeGrom could pitch twice.
Yeah, I would have Scherzer 1, DeGrom 2, Scherzer 4, DeGrom 5, and Scherzer 7 if you have to. Like, I would find a way to have those
guys. And
then
DeGrom opens 5 the next season.
In a series if you have to. And then DeGrom could pitch from the bullpen in Game 7 if he not. I mean, their arms would fall off, but this is what you have to do. You know what I mean? Honestly, you'd want to set them up 1-2. When the Yankees were a juggernaut, Joe Torre used to say Game 2 was the biggest game. Because if you won Game 1, Game 2 lets you step on the other team's throat and go up 2-0. If you lost Game 1, you need your stopper in there in Game 2 to make it 1-1 and take some momentum into a pivotal Game 3. Since Game 2 is actually more important than Game 1, they used to have Pettit pitch Game 2 all the time, and he was very good in the postseason. Yeah, man. I mean, the Mets should really go up 2-0 on everyone. On everyone.
They play the Braves. No,
I don't think it's been finalized yet who plays who. I know that the teams are clinching the playoffs, but I don't know that seeding has been set. I don't think the Mets Braves who wins that division has been finalized yet. I think they play each other 3 games, which will most likely decide which one wins the division. I think they're a game apart. So they have a series here. I think this weekend.
I think you're right. Guys want to know how crazy baseball is? Freddie Freeman, who was like the biggest free agent last year, left the team, and that team is equally as good, and it doesn't make any sense.
And he's having a very good season, Freddie.
Yeah, baseball's weird. I doubt you're buying baseball cards. Should we move basketball, football? I want to ask you about Tua. I want to ask you.
We could talk about. There's a couple baseball cards to kind of talk about. Also, I mean, we talk about all these young guys, right? But I mean, you didn't mention Aaron Judge. There's a really nice Aaron Judge in there.
I've said 10 heritage.
Well, I wasn't going to talk about that one, actually, because it makes me sad. No, actually, there's a 2013 Bowman Chrome Blue Refractor Judge out of 99, the one that you'd actually want, right? Remember, we talk about, like, it's not just to be on the right guy, to talk about to be on the right card. It is you want the Bowman Chrome Auto, you want the Topps Rookie. There is a 2013 Bowman Chrome Blue Refractor in BGS 9.5 Gem Mint. Rookie Auto out of 99. Real nice card. Like a really nice there's also... That's one, people looking to capitalize on the playoffs. I mentioned that, people are also selling guys who won't make the playoffs. Ohtani, 2018 Bowman Chrome image variation, like a really cool, they have those different image variations on him. It's a rookie auto out of 25. clean looking auto, BGS 9.5. So you got two sides of the coin there. That's 1-2 in the American League MVP, both of them having amazing seasons. I mean, I think Ohtani won 15 games. He's going to pitch at least an inning in the last game of the season because that will qualify him. I think he has 161 innings. You need 162 innings to qualify for your rankings as a pitcher. I don't know if you knew this or not. You basically have to an inning per game on average. You have to have 162. So he'll pitch an inning in that last game, and that'll qualify him. And he'll be in the top 5 in a lot of categories in pitching, let alone also top 5 in home runs. You know, but if you ask him, he won the MVP last year and had a better season this year, and probably won't win it. I kind of talk about how good Judge has been this year. So that's a cool shoot.
So I know you buy in the off season, or I know not you, but like just a general consensus. Do you ever buy in like weeks like this, kind of the lull period in between when a player could make a run and when there's a lot of inventory hitting the market?
Yeah, I mean, I think the data that you have there is pretty helpful, right? Like, I'd be curious how many Ohtani cards were flashed in, how many Ohtani cards were there, because not a lot of people looking.
37 Ohtani, 37 Judge, 8 Ohtani flash, 12 Judge flash.
Yeah, I mean, the Ohtani stuff, the difficult part is there are people who probably are still hoping he wins the MVP, although I think that's probably not going to happen. But, I mean, other guys who don't make the playoffs, like Trout, I think it's a good time to buy. People aren't buying. People aren't looking for his stuff, even though he's now second in the American League in home runs and has a shot at 40 this year, even though he missed 20-something games. I mean, just amazing what he's doing. It's funny. Baseball, one of our listeners messaged me and said, hey, just figured you'd get a kick out of this. I went over I think it was cousin's house, brother's house, whatever it was. There's a 6-year-old kid there. And said, hey, are you into cards? And he's like, yeah, look at all this stuff. I got all the shiny stuff. And he's like, well, do you have any other guys? And he's like, yeah, I have Mike Trouts, but I'm putting those away for like 6 years. This is like a 6-year-old kid saying this, I'm putting those away. So I guess, there are kids out there who like baseball and have a long-term view of collecting cards.
If I could wish something, it would be to be those collectors that are able to hold with those diamond hands. They should be so rewarded. Trout has a monster year, breaks the record, wins a World Series, and it's like his swan song.
One more cool baseball card, not on the crazy expensive side, but just like a really nice looking card. Not the refractor, but just a 93 Finest Griffey All-Star in PSA 9. Just a cool looking card. Everybody loves that 93 Finest set. It's that chromium look to it. It's, kind of the thing that kicked off everything, chrome before chrome, basically. And that's kind of the baseball cards that I had. I could do football. There's not that many football cards that we talk about.
Really quickly.
Shoot.
Today, the doctor that let Tua play again got fired, probably as expected. The hit was crazy, but he's like, I just want to be back on the field. Like that was actually his statement. He released it the other day. Where do you stand on Tua?
I mean, everybody wants to get back on the field, right? Nobody wants to lose their job because of an injury and the whole deal. I'm talking about Tua. The neurologist who's been let go, the article I read about it said that he's, had some prior mistakes that were made also. I think it's an optics thing. Obviously it's one of those things where, somebody's got to fall on their sword here. It really is crazy, especially because this was a short week, right? I mean, you got injured on Sunday and then played again on Thursday. So you don't want to have that compounding, the way that, the head trauma works. It's, you need recovery time. Let's just say he had a concussion the first week, which he cleared the protocol, right? I mean, let's just throw that out there. He cleared the protocol. But if he had two, the same amount of time, that's a compounding effect there. That's no good. I'm not a doctor. I do not have a degree in this. I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, though, so I feel comfortable talking about this. It's not a good look, and I'd be hesitant to put him back out there. Like, I think before they do that, even though he wants to get out there, you really would want to make sure that the NFL Players Association is involved in this. You have a long week, right? I mean, he's got a long recovery, but I'd get him in front of, like a union selected independent neurologist, I know he doesn't have to do it. I know the team doesn't have to do it, but just for the sake of of his own safety, I get him in front of some really well respected, independent, no affiliation, neurologist, and make sure that he gets cleared before he's able to go out there. That's kind of what I would do.
I thought he wouldn't play again until like week 10. I thought they would give it like 6 weeks to get the dust to settle. So there's no question. So that's interesting. 38 cards are auctioned off. 2/18 are flashed. I just real quick, Cage, back to that Griffey.
Yep.
It's actually mislabeled. So it was a mislabeled refractor. Did you say that?
Yeah. I mean, you take a look at it, right? You have it up there?
Yeah. I'll share the screen. Cool. Yeah. Just a base.
So it says refractor on it, but it's just a base card. So it's not a refractor. But just a really nice looking card for $23. Yeah. Exactly. I most of the time I come in here and I'm talking about I could talk. There are a couple of cards here that are massive. I'm about to get to, but that's a $23 card, and it's one of my favorites. If we talk about baseball, you got to balance the Trout and the Ohtani with a Griffey. Right?
Can I balance you out? Like really balance it out? Someone who's he's a staple, top 50 NBA players. Elgin Baylor. There's a gorgeous PSA 6 top 30%. Elgin Baylor in action, 1961 Fleer. It's actually a card that I started. This was the first card I started this week. Beautiful centering. I'll pull it up for you here, Cage. It's a gorgeous card. It's at $340. And with all this madness, everyone says, at least consider adding vintage to your portfolio, is what they really say, right?
Yep.
This is a gorgeous card that I don't know where it will end. It's really hard with these vintage. There's a bigger range. Freshly graded, beautiful centering, really nice corners. The eye appeal on this card, it says top 30%. They see way more cards on it, but this is a gorgeous 6, and it's sitting at $340. So
I love that card. I love the play. All right, because we're going to talk about some guys now. We're going to talk about some NBA guys now, and I think, with the exception
that was
of maybe
sincere, Luca Nation. You've seen the twinkle in his eyes when he.
Yeah, no, because it's Elgin Baylor. I mean, I'm being serious, right? So with the exception of maybe LeBron, as we talk about him, we're going to talk about some guys who, if you told them right now, you're going to be the number 1 draft pick, the rookie of the year, 11-time NBA All-Star, 10-time All-NBA first team, one of the game's greatest players.
All while fighting for your country in a war, by the way. I don't know if a lot of people knew that. That kind of tipped the scale because I saw it a few weeks ago and it clicked when I saw this card. He actually served in active military duty while playing in the NBA, which is crazy. It's just insane.
I mean, a lot
Think
of
about
good
what
stuff.
today's players set out for.
I mean, really is just like a crazy thing, right? I mean,
And you guys know I'm a modern guy through and through, but you got to at least respect that, probably.
I do. What's the matter, pal?
Take it.
Take this? Okay. It's a present for me. Oh, wow.
Live opening right on the air.
Look at that beast of a Lego he just built today. That's the Batmobile.
Normally, we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't interrupt your regularly scheduled programming, but this is worth it. Luca Nation, if you're watching, if you're listening on Apple and Spotify, click over to YouTube immediately.
That's pretty cool.
14-month baby just walked up and gave Cage a Batmobile that he built with his 2 hands.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. So, I mean, we're talking about Elgin Baylor. Obviously, guys, listen, this is, a guy who did it all, then coached. I think he was named Executive of the Year. I mean, we're looking at all this fun stuff, right? I mean, this is amazing stuff, really amazing stuff. And we're going to talk about that card is $340. We're going to talk about some cards now that are selling for significantly more for guys who have a lot of potential, but may not accomplish half of what Elgin Baylor did. That said, some pretty nice cards. Let's start off with, there are a couple cards in this auction. If you take a look at the top, this is one of them that are premier worthy and first page premier worthy. Take a look if you want to pull it up for those folks who are on, YouTube. 2018 Flawless Luka Ruby. Rookie patch auto out of 15.
That's not his true RPA, Cage.
It's the only game-worn Luka RPA. It's vertical from Flawless. I mean, it is a huge card for Luka collectors I'm not saying it's cheap, but at a fraction of buying like a National Treasure's true RPA, like you say, out of 99. Just a really nice looking card. Game-worn, vertical. Premier
I
worthy.
remember when weekly was like 15, 20K.
Yep.
This one's sitting at 36K.
It's over 40 with the buyer's premium already, this card.
Guys,
It's a gorgeous
59
card.
Luka cards in this auction. 12 of them been flashed, just for reference.
Really nice card. And let's stick with basketball and just do two or three more basketballs. Number one on basketball, there's a 2019 Gold Shimmer Ja Rookie Auto Prism out of 10. So 2019 Prism Gold Ja, you can probably put in there. And it is a
This one right here, the auto?
No, yeah, the rookie auto, excuse me, the rookie auto out of 10. Like a really nice card. 9.5 BGS with a 10 auto. Cool looking thing. I don't know, man. Is now the time to buy Ja?
Man, oh man, oh man. Ja's got a sick auto. I'd buy it just for that.
You like
now
his
the
auto?
time to buy Ja.
Man, that's my question for you. You watch the games, bro.
I think if we're just talking purely expectations, last year's Grizzlies team were like the hottest team of the year. From basically like the beginning of the season to March, Ja was the talk of the town. It's hard to see how they're going to live up to those expectations again. At the same time, Ja plays an extremely, extremely physical game, and he's still small statured.
So you're afraid he's going to get injured?
I'm not afraid he's going to get injured. I'm afraid he misses games, and that kills momentum.
Speaking of injuries and momentum, and some momentum going into the season, and who knows if he'll be able to capture it. The next one is a 2019 Flawless Horizontal Gold Zion Rookie Patch Auto out of 10. 4-color Zion Rookie Patch. Is he going to have a good year? Is he going to stay healthy? We talked about the standard off-season workout. He's in the best shape of his life. That I fooled you all and read you an article from 2 years ago saying exactly the same thing that you would see an article saying now.
I'll say this, Cage.
It's a nice card.
Let's put it in this frame. It's a very high risk but a high reward play. That's a better way, I think, to talk about talking about some of these cards than buy or not. You know, it's high risk but high reward. We saw what happened with Trey Lance. I think it's difficult to. Zion has a bit of a better track record, of course, than Trey Lance, but it's high risk. But then you have the Mahomes, you have Josh Allen, you have Lamar. You do. It's the way the cookie crumbles. Let's keep rocking.
Last one for basketball. Some people think this is one of his nicer ones. 2019 Crown Royal Kaboom LeBron James. PSA 10. LeBron Kaboom in PSA 10. Not a ton of those. I mean, we know there are multiple years. Some years there's more than others.
You guys want a fun little fact? So something I discovered. This is my first ever Panini Hoops explosion card, like numbered.
Nice.
It's actually the same design as the Kaboom. If you put them over top of it, did that click for you?
Mm-hmm. The explosion. Kaboom.
Yeah, so this is a funny, like it was just like, whoa. So if you look at this design and you look at the Kaboom, they'll match up right here on the borders. So fun fact. I'll pull up the LeBron now and stop talking.
It's all right. A lot of people think the 2019 Crown Royal Kabooms are the best looking ones. It's a cool looking one. That's the last basketball one.
Who thinks that, Cage?
The Kaboom Cabal.
Can we please talk about how recently PSA's labels have been off-centered left to right? Has anyone else noticed that? Please drop it in the comments. Here's another example.
I didn't notice that. But look at this. Here it is, a modern Kaboom from 2019. There's only 14 PSA 10s. So not a ton of opportunities to buy a card like this if you are looking for a LeBron Kaboom. There's basically a dozen of them out there in PSA 10. Switches me over to football, unless you have something else you want to bring up card-wise.
Get into your football cards, but first question. You accurately predicted in the NFL season preview the Eagles are going to be good not because they're a good team. They are a good team, but because their schedule is so easy the first 9 games. True. But you're not a wave rider. You don't ride the waves. Jalen Hurts, too late?
I'd be selling them right now. I wouldn't be buying them. Definitely not.
You have 5 more weeks, Cage.
I know. I said sell 9, but that was before Dak Prescott got injured. And I know the Cowboys are 2-1, but I'm not buying the Cowboys. I think the Eagles are runaway to win this division, and I think people are pricing that in Hurts cards already. You know, after week 3, I was expecting Cowboys to be 1-2 and the Eagles to be 2-1 or 3-0 and not completely demolishing everybody. And what often happens is one of those games sneaks up on you, bites you in the butt, and then all of a sudden you get derailed. And I'm not saying the Eagles will go out there and lose this week because I don't think that's going to happen. But I think a lot of it has already been priced into Hurts. His cards are high.
Do you agree with this statement? Football is not just about winning; it's about how you win in terms of how for the card market. Like when you have these blowouts, or you put up 4 touchdowns, 400 yards. That's different when Mahomes, who's played really well this season, but he hasn't been as impressive as the expectations are. It's not just winning; it's also kind of that wow factor.
Yeah. No. Listen, you are always building. That's the fun thing, especially with the ultra modern stuff. But even Brady, right? I mean, look, Brady. People, they bought into his cards, hoping he had one more year and one more championship, and the team does not look like there's a championship. And it definitely, like, one of my hot take predictions was he was going to go out there and set records passing this year. But of course,
To who?
everybody got injured. His whole team got injured, and Mike Evans is healthy but punching people. So I mean, who's he gonna throw it to? He's not setting records throwing to Cole Beasley. So a lot of the potential.
You don't like my Cole Beasley over prop?
I like Cole Beasley. I mean, he's
guy didn't play last year. Got into this whole political vax thing. He comes back. He's hungry. He's got to play with Brady. Brady loves the slot receivers, Cage.
I think he'll be fine. I think Beasley will put up some good numbers. Not the point. The point is, a little of that upside on Brady is not there anymore. People like to see building, right? We see it with Luka. You could make an argument to me right now, and I wouldn't call you nuts, that Luka needs to win the MVP this year because his team's not going to have team success, right? That in order to continue to sustain the prices that we have, and guess what? I know you hate Vegas, but he is right now the Vegas odds-on favorite to win the MVP. I know you hate it, but that's the expectation going in, and you have to factor that stuff into the card prices. You do.
I don't hate it because I figured it out. I've been watching the Old Man in the 3 podcast, and what they said was we don't realize how big Luka is, right? So, like, Ja, with his frame, he needs to rely on things, and they're a little less predictable. What made LeBron so incredible was his consistency and predictability, but it's because he was the biggest athlete, the best athlete, the strongest. They say Luka's the strongest, biggest, and heaviest guy on the court oftentimes, and that's the point guard.
Yep.
And that's crazy, and it like hit. So I actually think I don't think he's going to win MVP.
So I get you. You don't have to. We can
so.
do a basketball thing, soon. I mean, it's coming. You could predict James Wiseman to win the MVP. That's fine. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Baseball's not even over yet.
Wiseman's could be a problem. Wiseman could be a big problem.
He's got to learn basketball. He never really played. He played like 3 games in Memphis and then was ruled out, eligibility and the whole deal. I mean, he's never really played, and then he was injured. So I'm curious to see what they get out of him, and if it's anything, that team is dangerous. But
it's the perfect scenario for him to jump into.
Yep.
Like, we could talk about it, but Wiseman is an interesting play. I'll just put it that way. It's something that I'm monitoring in that market.
The only 2 football cards that I have to mention today are both cards of people who aren't playing. So, no, I'm not saying go out there and buy Hurts. Obviously, he probably will have another 6 good weeks in the season. And then look, maybe they keep winning. I just know that their schedule gets tougher towards the end of the year. So that was my take on him. But Drew Brees, there is what you would consider a massive Brees card in a weekly auction. It's the 2001 playoff contenders Drew Brees rookie auto in BGS 9.5 Gem Mint. So it's the Brees contenders from 01. Really nice looking card. There it is on the left. And I mean, this is, the contenders auto card. I mean, this is Brees, and it's basically sitting there for what, $3,200. Football contenders auto is a very big deal. This is now a 21-year-old card. So when you see what young QBs cards go for, this is one to compare, right? When you're looking at what people are paying for, some of these young guys, this is Drew Brees.
When buying players like this, I always think about my exit too. So, like, I do think that Brees will still have a future exit, whether that's his Hall of Fame thing or something comes up. I think Brees has an exit.
All right. And you guys, we talked about this during the week, but, we have to bring it out there just because, I mean, it is a gorgeous card. I am nervous that people are, running the price up on it because they're comparing it to basketball, but there is a Jerry Rice PMG, the 1997 Metal Universe PMG Red Jerry Rice out of 150, not 100, BGS 8.5. I mean, it's a big card. It's already, got some good bids on it. You can make an argument that, outside of his, PMG green, that this is his best non-rookie card. It's just a gorgeous Jerry Rice card. You just write Jerry Rice, and it'll be, the most expensive one out there. So if you sort by highest price, it'll be the highest price Jerry Rice card.
This is something you've talked about, where it's like,
there it is on the left.
Basketball collectors is not necessarily what football collectors like. And Jerry Rice collectors love his Jerry Rice rookie. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Well, I mean, vintage guys like myself, they like the card, and the card is low pop and high grade. They like the Jerry Rice rookie. It's just one of those things. This is a great card. I mean, it's really, really cool because it's red and it's sort of a color match to his jersey, and you don't see him too often in that high of a grade. But yeah, the football stuff. When basketball started going in price, you could see the football stuff sitting in encounters. By the way, you can click on that one. That is the precursor to cracked ice that you're looking at right there. That's the 1998 Bowman's Best Atomic Refractor. You don't see too many PSA 10s of that come up for sale often. I think they're single digits.
In baseball Hall of Famers, you could get that card so affordable, like less than $1,000. Like Tony Gwynn has that card. The Atomic Refractor is such a sick card, and he gets no love.
Tony Gwynn gets no love, so it's funny you bring him up. So
I mean, he's a legend, dude. He's good, and I don't even know baseball, but I know he was that good.
Yep. Last guy to really challenge for 400 average in a season. But that's a bunch of cards over there. Any other cards that that we want to point out as like a potential card out there? Any of our listeners maybe talking about cards or anything like that?
Jordan has 204 cards. 23 have been flashed in. Steph, the highest modern guy, 195. 12 flashed. LeBron 90 auctioned off, 24, and Luka 59 auctioned, 12 available. The one card you're talking about is the Luka Downtown rookie. Interesting card, no rookie stamp, but people are loving Downtowns.
Luka Downtowns. I mean, what do you think of Downtown? You think it's like, it's caught up. You said it was one of those like inserts that has potential legs, right? It caught up to Kaboom. You thought the Downtown was one that, was one that could be a diamond in the rough just overall, not just this Luka that's in the weekly.
I'll tell you the truth. I don't own a Downtown. I've never owned a Downtown. But here's what I see. I see the market loves them, but to me, they're confusing. One is out of Cornerstones. One's out of Panini 1-in-1. That, as a newer guy, when it comes out of different releases, always confused me. The market doesn't feel very confused. They're like, hey, Kaboom, move over. Downtown.
I hear Downtown, and it makes me think of one thing. And I'm going to test something out here before you hang up. It's Downtown's changing. So I'm going to say, Ian, come here for a sec. Come quick, because we got to wrap the episode up. Don't fall down on your way. He's eating Chick-fil-A. If I say Downtown to you, what do you think? Downtowns? Bad? Oh, man, it didn't work.
Put your head on a swivel.
Put my head on a swivel? Because why? I put my head on a swivel. I gotta swing my arms around like this. Why? Because what about what Downtowns? Is Downtown changing? Downtown's changing. What show was that? American Dad. We watched this American Dad. Downtown's changing. You'd live in downtown now. You'd live in downtown now. It's like very like lofty, like it's fancy living, yuppies.
That was London.
That was
Where
London.
was Jack the Ripper?
Jack the Ripper's in London. Okay, you got it.
That was London.
Well,
inaccurate. Not the finest hour about Cage Lore the last 2 minutes, but beautiful work in the beginning.
Downtown's changing.
Thank you all for listening to another episode of Lucas, Tigers, and Bronzo My. I wanted to tell you about a new service that we have starting as of today, and I'm really, really excited to bring it to you guys. So, as a part of our partnership with SGC, we got 50 free submissions every single month, and many of you have taken advantage of that. And it's amazing that we could have the opportunity to 650 episodes, 675 episodes in, to go ahead and give back to our community. As people were sending those cards in, they asked, can we send 5, 10, 20 more cards to you guys? We'll pay for it, but we wanted them graded with SGC. You guys know SGC is turning cards around in 13 to 14 business days. have incredible customer service, and their secondary market values are going up day after day after day. And that's exciting for the hobby and exciting for the grading landscape. So we didn't want to just rush into it. We wanted to do it right. And what we did was I relocated here to Boca Raton, Florida. I opened up a P.O. box maybe 5 minutes away from SGC, and I will be hand delivering and hand picking up the cards. So you don't have to worry about anyone else touching your cards. It will be me, and I will update you every step of the way. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to personally pick up the cards from a P.O. box, prep them, new card saver, new penny sleeve, and deliver them to SGC every single Tuesday. Why Tuesday? Well, it lets the stragglers over the weekend come back through on Monday and gives me a day to prep, and it basically gives SGC the entire week to work on grading those cards. Once your cards pop, only then at the end of the process will you be paying for the service. It's $25 per card, simple as that, and the turnaround times have never been faster. We're hearing right now 13, 14, less than 20 business days. So there it is, 9170 Glades Road, number 135 is the P.O. Box in Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. 9170 Glades Road, number 135, Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. Of course, you could shoot me an email or shoot me a text anytime, and I'm always available. Many of you already have my email. It's iamandrewgoldberg@gmail.com, or my cell phone number, 215-519-9154. Reach out with any questions. I could walk you through the process. I've hopped on the call with quite a few of you, and I'm happy to do that. Love you, Luca Nation.